Coming up on this week's programme.
Diving into the northernmost reaches of the British Isles.
Scapa Flow has to be up there among the top few wreck diving destinations in the world.
Archaeologists revive an ancient Roman recipe. We follow the travelling moon. And it's the fashion revolution that's taking India by storm.
The goal is to have something sartorial and feminine.
Hello and welcome to the Travel Show, coming to you this week from England's Lake District, which is beautiful all year round, even in November.
It's here that you'll find England's highest mountain and a series of monuments that were erected at the end of the First World War to honour those who died in that terrible conflict. All over Europe and the wider world this weekend, people will be marking the 100th anniversary of the end of the Great War, when the guns finally fell silent.
One element of the conflict that's often overlooked is the war at sea. But if you travel to the far north of Scotland, you can now have a deep dive into one of the most famous chapters of that story.
My name's Emily Turton. I am the skipper of one of the dive boats up in Scapa Flow. My boat's called Huskian.
What we're really interested in is the First World War German naval fleet that was scuttled in Scapa Flow on June the 21st, 1919. Scapa Flow itself is a big bit of water surrounded by the islands of Orkney, and it was strategically best for our British naval fleet for both World War I and World War II, and then also big enough to put the German Navy when it was interned after the armistice at the end of November 1918.
Just before the Treaty of Versailles was signed, which officially ended World War I, the German fleet was scuttled. It was the last remaining act of war open to the commanding officer there, Admiral von Reuter. And essentially what he did is make sure that nobody could have his fleet.
Okay, let's have a look at what she looks like underwater. Now this is the deepest part of the German fleet here. Using digital imagery to help break down the ships to my divers before they get in the water really helps them have more of a mental image of what they're trying to see before they see it. So this scan image was done by the team at Dundee University, headed up by Professor Chris Rowland.
I'm Professor Chris Rowland from the University of Dundee, and I run a 3D visualization research lab, particularly interested in historic shipwrecks. I'm involved with a small team who are looking at bringing images of the shipwrecks of the German fleet out to the general public so that people who can't dive or don't get the opportunity to dive on them will actually see what's there. And this huge legacy from World War I is just under the waves here. Myself and Professor Kari Haitinen, we dive as a team. I'll carry about 60,000 lumens of light, so that's a lot of light. And Kari will carry his camera with extra lighting. And between the two of us, we basically record high-resolution video around the wrecks and the features of the wrecks. When we bring that back to the surface, we can then use software to produce the 3D image from those images.
The German fleet are in quite silty conditions. So when you first get in the water and you're going down this line, you're diving on something that can be 145 metres long, but the mystery of it you discover in 10-metre chunks, 15-metre chunks. That's something that some people find a little bit spooky, but I find really exciting. So this ship, SMS Markgraf, one of 4 Koenig-class battleships built for the First World War German Navy. This ship's 145 metres long, it's 30 metres wide, and if you picked her up and put her on the bathroom scale, so her displacement is around about the 26,000 tonnes. They are the vanguard of Germany's navy during that war, and to have 3 of them here is really quite, well, it's unique.
The wreck that we were diving today is the site of the Bayern turrets. So the Bayern battleship, when it was salvaged, the 4 turrets were left on the seabed. And they're pretty dramatic to see. This was the last military action of World War I, and every time we see the wreck, or any of the wrecks, we're reminded exactly what that means in history.
My name's James, and I'm a scuba diving instructor here in Orkney.
Snorkels in, let's go out.
It's maybe one of the best sites in the world to come and dive these types of ships and be this accessible at this depth as well. You can come to Scapa Flow and visit the Churchill barriers, having never dived before, and complete your first ever dive on World War I and World War II ships that were sunk as part of the war. Scapa Flow allows us to dive the whole year round, more or less. It's a natural harbour, it's protected on many sides by land. You could spend weeks and weeks and weeks diving the wrecks here. They're that big, and you'd still get a reward every single time you jumped in the water.
I am Jeanette Park, and I am the curator for Stromness Museum. Some of the items that we have in the collection that have come from the German fleet, we have the bell from the Dresden, and we have the bell from the Friedrich der Grosse. Some of my favourite things are the more domestic or the more social history things. We have a China beer mug that has survived, that has the inscription, music and beer, that is my pleasure. And that's something that we also share with Germany.
So the diving industry in Orkney is booming for us, it's really busy at the moment. It's really popular to come and take a guided dive.
To have such history surrounding those shipwrecks, to be able to dive on what was the biggest scuttle ever is quite something.
Next up, we're in Cadiz in Spain, where chefs are bringing back an ancient recipe to modern menus.
Eso es una muestra real de garum. Gracias a algunas recetas de época antigua que se han conservado, sabemos perfectamente que el garum se fabricaba como resultado del filtrado de una pasta que se generaba después de haber dejado durante unas 3 semanas a fermentar en sal para evitar la putrefacción las partes no cárnicas del pescado. Las excavaciones que desarrollamos en la bottega del garum de Pompeya tenían como objetivo fundamental intentar reconstruir el último garum que estaba en fabricación en esta ciudad vesuviana cuando llegó la erupción del año 79. A través del análisis de lo que encontramos dentro de estas cubetas, pues podemos saber qué hacían con el pescado.
Somos fieles 100% a la receta original. De hecho, nosotros no reproducimos nada que no se haya encontrado una pileta, una ánfora. Esto Mauro lo utiliza mucho los cocineros, porque esto para los cocineros, fíjate lo que significa, es un aroma, es especia, ahí están todas las especias.
Bienvenido, pasad a mi casa. Soy Mauro y vamos a hacer una especie de tartar de ventresca de pez espada. Uno de los grandes intereses que tengo yo por el garum, primero, es porque es la historia de nuestra tierra. Es un producto de hace 2000 años que era oro. Es una manera muy simple y muy fácil de aplicar el garum, que aunque veáis un plato muy sofisticado, se puede aplicar en casa. Le vamos a poner una tártara que hacemos aquí también, que le añadimos un poco de garum, una flor de ajo de aquí de la zona. El garum nos hace que estas recetas cojan otra dimensión y potencien mucho sus propios sabores y le dan una personalidad y un carácter muy diferente.
Still to come on the travel show.
What's trending in the way of travel? And it's a fusion of cultures styling visitors in Delhi.
Keep playing it. Like you're stirring a cup of coffee.
It's time now for Trending Travel, your monthly mashup of the best travel-related stories, snaps and videos online.
As the 50th anniversary of the first moon landing approaches, space tourism seems to be getting closer. But if you can't wait that long, artist Luke Jerome has brought the moon to Earth, touring his giant replica around the globe.
I'm touring it into different contexts, so we've placed it in a cathedral, but also in swimming pools and science museums and a whole range of different kind of contexts. I try to create artworks that can be appreciated by everybody. So, you know, a 4-year-old child will get very excited about seeing a real, seeing a moon floating there in front of them.
Built from balloon fabric and measuring 7 meters in diameter, Museum of the Moon features detailed NASA satellite imagery of the lunar surface. If you're looking for something a little different from your travel and accommodation, you'll most likely love the concept of Sleeper Room. This cube-shaped mobile hotel room offers overnight stays at unusual locations in Germany, from football stadiums and castles to beaches and aquariums.
You explore yourself and your direct surroundings in a completely new way. You escape the strains of daily life and live in the moment.
Do you love trying local food abroad? Well, so does Mel. She also loves travelling and Instagram, combining all three on her wildly popular Girl Eat World account. Her shots of iconic food taken at iconic locations throughout the world, all taken on a smartphone, have seen her build nearly 400,000 followers in just 4 years. Each post also includes an informative fact about the food and her visit, so you can learn something while your stomach rumbles.
Thanks to everyone who sent us their pictures using the hashtag #TravelTuesday. Here are some of my favourites.
One of our favourite entries this month came from Beth, who captured these beautiful shots in Iceland alongside a snap of the elusive Northern Lights.
Now let's look at the travel videos clocking up the views online.
This month, it's the 50th anniversary of America's Trails Network. A system of roads and pathways that was set up to encourage people to get out and explore the country's national parks, scenic spaces and heritage hotspots. Will and Jim Patisse are using their online filmmaking skills to bring the wonders of America's national parks to life. From towering volcanoes to scorching deserts, the Brothers More Than Just Parks video series aims to inspire a new generation of visitors to get offline and explore the landscapes in person.
Setting foot inside of a national park is like setting foot on another planet. The main goal of our videos is to inspire people to get out into our national parks and to have an experience out there for themselves.
And finally, this video explores how the reintroduction of wolves as the top predators in Yellowstone after a 70-year absence rebalanced the ecosystem and even the shape of the rivers themselves.
And if you see anything you think we should know about, don't forget to get in touch. It's at BBC Travel Show.
Next up, we're in Delhi, where a fashion revolution is afoot. It's a trend that's being driven by social media around the world and drawing more people into Indian culture, as Cat Moh went to find out.
Walk around the streets and it's clear one thing India doesn't lack is colour. Hit the right areas and it's textiles and tailors around every corner, and buying at least one traditional outfit is the ultimate souvenir. The clothing retail market in India is huge, with not always the best reputation when it comes to labour practices. However, more people are taking things into their own hands with a trend that's revolutionising the Indian fashion market and drawing visitors to Delhi, and that's fusion wear. It's basically a mashup of traditional Asian and Western clothing, and some bloggers like Suki are very good at it.
There's so much inspiration. You can mix and match so many things. And I think the kind of sensibility India has, the kind of textiles they have and embroidery they have, you can mix it with anything. So when you add a little bit of Western and fusion it, it just becomes so modern. You give the outfit a personality of its own.
Is it this way? Now we just walked through a very crazy street.
Oh, but I love it.
Here, and there's so many textiles everywhere. Oh, this is cute. This has got like a little bolero jacket.
Yeah.
Do you find people are coming here to get textiles and then taking them to the tailors to make their own outfits? Because
of course,
sometimes buying ready-made pieces can be quite expensive, and really you don't need to do that, do you?
Having a local tailor is the most coolest thing that we have here, because you can get anything customized. Today, if you see something on Instagram and you come to me and you show me, okay, I want to get this made, I'll take you to the tailor. He'll give you the exact copy of it. So somewhere it's bad, but somewhere it's really good.
So it's off to the tailors we go. And well, no trip to Delhi is complete without hopping in one of these tuk-tuks. They're everywhere.
This is fun. This is fun.
How often do you take one of these then?
I used to take one a lot when I was in college.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
I imagine they're quite cheap.
Yeah. Well, it depends if you can bargain well.
Tucked away in a little corner in New Delhi is Mahfouz.
Indo-Western dress.
Indo-Western dress. The family business has been tailoring for 52 years, with both Westerners and Indians walking through its doors.
नहीं, हम लोग भी बताते हैं, और काफ़ी लोग तो आजकल तो नेट का ज़माना है, तो उससे वो निकाल कर लाते हैं फ़ोन के अंदर, तो उसको हम कॉपी कर 20 से 30 साल के लोग आते हैं ज़्यादा.
By 2020, the Indian fusion wear market is expected to be worth $3.4 billion, doubling what it was last year, and Indian couture designers have taken it from the streets to the runway. Fashion house Shantanu Nikhil run tours for visitors interested in a behind-the-scenes experience of its atelier.
I think I'm in the right place.
Third one should be slightly more dramatic.
Don't interrupt.
And then
Hi.
we should be... Hello!
I'm Kat.
Nice to see you, Kat. Welcome to India.
Thank you.
And welcome to Shantanu Nikhil.
It's fascinating just walking up the stairs just now, seeing everyone hard at work.
Yeah, it's a bit crazy, you know. It's so chaotic outside of the building, and then inside there's creative chaos, which is what we love.
I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
Fusion wear is becoming increasingly popular around the world, and this design house is prepping for its first show in London. And you offer this as tours as well for people to come behind the scenes to see what goes on. Are you not worried that some of your secrets will be spilled out to the rest of the world?
We're happy for people to come and see the process, because the process comes from great intent of purity and clarity. And why not? If people feel that they can connect to this and they might want to do something, maybe something new will come out of it.
So do you think you can help me create a little something then?
Absolutely.
I hope you have a lot of patience.
I am the teacher. the goal is to have something sartorial and feminine.
This is the moment of truth.
Okay.
Am I holding this correctly?
Yeah, yeah. And just keep playing it. Like you're stirring a cup of coffee.
This is the real thing, isn't it?
This is the real thing.
Probably should have had a practice sheet first.
Well, this is your practice sheet. Go for it. It's like starting the accelerator of a car. Slow down.
Okay,
Slow down.
okay.
That's, that's a disaster.
We're going to leave the rest of this to the professionals, as clearly I can't be trusted to sew in a straight line.
In their workshop, 90% of the sewers are men, carrying on trade skills passed down the generations.
Or the requirement of men in our business is only to produce beautiful clothes. The rest, the ideation, the sales, the marketing, all happens by women.
With the final touches added, it's the moment of truth.
What do you think?
Oh my good Lord.
Fits really well.
This is fantastic on you. You made this, by the way, do you know that?
Well...
You initially draped it.
And you can't see where I screwed up. I don't think. Can you?
But you can't, but I can. But you know what? They probably can't either.
It's probably just somewhere underneath here. It's fine. Cat Moh reporting there from Delhi. And unfortunately, that's all we've got time for on this week's programme. But coming up next week...
Addie's in Lebanon as the country marks 75 years of independence and finds out how the people of Beirut are shaking off the scars of civil war to restore the city's reputation as a centre of entertainment and nightlife.
Okay, sick. Oh, that is good.
So do join us then if you can. And in the meantime, don't forget you can sign up to our social media feed, see where we are in the world, and also share some of your own travel stories. But for now, from me, Crystal Larwood, and the rest of the Travel Show team here in the Lake District, it's goodbye.